And now to business stories. The national president of Miyetti Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria, Baba Ngelzarma, says the country spends around $1.7 billion yearly in importing milk. He also called on the federal government to pay more attention to the dairy industry through budgetary allocation. He adds that if the sector received the attention it deserves, the nation could become a major hub for milk export and other value chains in the livestock industry. He also highlighted that the current state of the cattle business in the country is making a modest contribution to stimulating the economy. He adds that with the right focus, the sector has a potential to significantly boost the agricultural gross domestic product of Nigeria. And joining me on the news to talk about this is the Doctor of Veterinary Medicine, Musa Mansour Hamad. Good afternoon, Mr. Hamad. Glad to have you join me.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
All right. Now, some animal husbandry experts have said that whether in sub-Saharan Africa, it doesn't favor large milk production. What's your take on this?
Yeah, thank you very much. This is actually true because this is what we are currently experiencing, especially here in Nigeria, due to the climate change that is happening and it's been a global issue. So we've been experiencing decrease in precipitation. The duration of rainfall season is gradually decreasing, and we're experiencing longer period of drought and extreme weather, especially in the northern part of the country, where we have the largest population of cattle in Nigeria. So the climate change and also the extreme weather comes in different dimensions, and it has several negative impacts on livestock. So when there is extreme weather, when the temperature is a bit extreme, the livestock animal, especially cattle, tend to experience decrease in feed intake, and that will largely affect the milk production. And also the decrease in the rainy season will also affect the crop production, in which this livestock animal depend largely on. They depend largely on the crop byproduct and also natural pasture. So if there is increase in drought periods, there will be shortage of feed. That will, at the end of the day, force these pastoralists to migrate from one part of the country to another, thereby exposing them to also other diseases. And also the energy bonds during that kind of migratory activities will also affect the performance of the animals, the fertility, and the general productivity of the animal.
Musa, you talked about, if I may just quickly chip in there, you talked about Nigeria having the largest population of livestock compared with neighboring countries, yet we seem to produce less milk in comparison. How can these be changed?
Well, I think the best way to improve this is by incorporating climate-smart livestock production. In climate-smart livestock production, we're expected to improve the productivity of this livestock and also to reduce the emission of greenhouse gases, and also to actually improve the productivity, the overall productivity of this livestock, and increase resilience and adaptation. So when you look at the population of cattle in Nigeria, 95% are actually indigenous breed. Only 5% account for, only 1% actually account for the exotic breed. And the whole dairy sector is in such a way that the 95% belongs to the pastoralists. And once this milk are being produced, part of it are being consumed by the pastoralist household, and then the remaining are being marketed in informal way. So in order to improve this, there is need for us to select heat-tolerant breeds, genetic improvement through artificial insemination, so that we're going to improve the productivity of our own indigenous cattle, and also improving the provision of grazing area, because one of the challenges is presence of grazing area and feed, like I mentioned. So if there is going to be provision of this grazing area with quality feed material, that will also actually assist. And also one of the...
Mr. Hamad, if I may, you mentioned that the current state of the cattle business in the country is making the modest contribution to stimulating our economy. I'm wondering, Is it in naira or dollars? How much are we looking at in terms of the numbers?
Well, it's actually true. The livestock industry is contributing largely to the country's GDP. When you look at the international market that we have in the country, for example, in Ngore in the Adamawa state, and also, so you realize that in a day, there will be a lot of almost 200 trucks of cattle being purchased from the market and then transported to other parts of the country. So if you multiply this, if an average cow costs 300 naira, for example, multiply that by 30 and then by 200 is actually a large sum of money. And then for Lagos, when we take Lagos, for example, Lagos slaughters almost 6,000 cows in a day, 6,000 cows in a day. So if you multiply 6,000, but let's say by 300,000, then by 7, that is in a week and a month, that will give you an idea of how much the industry is actually contributing to the country's GDP.
It's been a pleasure speaking with you on the news. Thank you so much for your time. Musa Mansour Ahmed, Doctor of Veterinary Medicine. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.